Hello, friends. Happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada. And today I am all about the beautiful, nostalgic, sentimental Christmas suite from the Stampin' Up! 2024 September to December mini catalog. Now, this mini catalog has so many fantastic products in it. It's actually hard to choose which ones to focus on every week. But this is one, excuse me. Sorry about that. That was a strange little catch in my throat. This is one that is extra special because it is part of Stampin' Up's product Give Back this year. And I'll explain more of that in a few moments. But while you are joining me, let me know that you are here, whether you are watching me live or on the replay, so that I can say a hello to you. It's always nice to see people joining and say hello from wherever you are in the world. But as I was saying, this product, this suite features our product Give Back, which is Stampin' Up's way of doing something sort of charitable. So the DSP that coordinates with this suite, and I'll show it to you in a few minutes, actually $4 here in Canada from every pack of DSP that is sold goes to children's literacy programs. And I got to tell you, as a teacher, that makes me really, really happy. I spend a lot of my day helping students fill in gaps and learn to read and become functionally literate. So I really, really appreciate that Stampin' Up! Has chosen this particular initiative. And so that's why I'm featuring this suite this week. So let's have a look at the products, and then I will say hello to all who are watching me. So let me switch to my desk here and we'll have a look at the products for a moment. So here we go. This is the suite in the mini catalog. It's a nice 2-page spread. And this is the DSP. There's some information about, sorry, it's off the camera. There we go, about the give back, but then there's also a whole bunch more information just on page 4. Yeah, right at the front of the catalog. So it's a really exciting initiative for me as a teacher, and I hope that you can appreciate that it's a good cause. So I've actually, this bundle is not part of the suite. I'll move it over to the side for a minute, just so as not to confuse anyone. So the Sentimental Wishes bundle, this is a nice, economically priced bundle. It doesn't have all the extra bells and whistles that we have become accustomed to in many of our bundles, especially in the dies, but it does have open dies to cut out the stamped images, and then this extra little bit of greenery here that works really nicely to your images. So great sort of nostalgic sentiments. I love this holly image. It's so pretty, and this stocking as well. And then some sort of vintage looking fonts. I just really love sort of the nostalgic vibe of this bundle. And then of course, I'll talk about the embellishments in a moment, but the DSP. So honestly, as soon as I saw this, I immediately thought of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, and watching that every year. Sometimes we had to hold the rabbit ears just so to be able to watch it growing up in the 70s as a kid. But honestly, this paper it threw me right back to my childhood, and I absolutely love this pattern. But then we have other just sort of beautiful vintage patterns, so some ribbon and holly. This one, I only have a half sheet left because I've used so much of it. Love these sort of vintage looking Christmas trees. We've got stockings, and actually the stockings and the bows can be cut out with the die set. We've got some little mistletoe and holly bunches. We got some beautiful candles. I love sort of that hand-drawn look of this. And then, of course, on the back side, we have some more generic patterns. This is just the most beautiful background for a scrapbook page I think I've ever seen. I absolutely adore this background. There will be a scrapbook page made with that for sure. We've got a candy cane stripe. We've got this gorgeous, again, bordered 12 by 12 piece. Absolutely love this piece. And I've had a few people ask me, how do you use that for cards? So I'm going to show you some ideas later of how I've used it for cards. Okay. Sorry, I got to flip this guy over. We've got our forest of trees. We've got fantastic snowflakes. Love these as well. And then we've got a diagonal stripe. So lots and lots of great patterns for lots of possibilities with that DSP. And then, of course, we have some fun embellishments. So we've got our druzy embellishment. So these are sparkly and just so blingy. They look like jewels that should be, in a crown rather than on a card. And then we have this beautiful satin and sheer, what is this? Shade of spruce. Yes, I know my colors. Shade of spruce ribbon. So I love everything. And then I wanted to show you as well how perfectly the Christmas labels bundle coordinates. So the fonts in this bundle are very sort of vintage fonts, remind me a little bit of hand lettering and calligraphy. And then, of course, we have these very unique labels that are all designed to coordinate with various stamps in the stamp set. So these diagonal sort of ones are designed to go on this large label. This one with the sort of 3 sections is designed for like the Merry Christmas to you, celebrate the holidays in all the ways. It's a hot cocoa day. And then we have these sort of more traditionally shaped labels that fit the other images. So many possibilities with this. And this bundle works so perfectly with this suite. You're going to see me using it today. All right, so let's take a moment and recognize everybody who's come in. Wow, it's busy today. Welcome, everyone. It's good to see you. Hi, Deborah from Sydney. Goodness gracious, it's tomorrow already there. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Julie and Colleen. Hi, Judy. Welcome. Very excited to have you join me. Thank you for popping in. Hi, Joyce. Happy birthday, Joyce. It's a big day for Joyce today. Grace, happy birthday. Not happy birthday. Hi, Grace. It's not your birthday. At least I don't think it is. It is Joyce's birthday today. Mia, welcome. Charlie, Krista, Sonia, thank you for sharing. Hi, Jean. Welcome. All right. We're going to get to some stamping. The very first project we're going to do is this one. I posted this earlier today. This is a very sort of toned down look from some of the others you're going to see that I've created with this. This is a very different look, but I wanted to show all the different variations you can do. Some of the very different variations. I certainly didn't think of all of them, I'm sure. But things that you can do with this suite. So let's get to it. We're going to do a little bit of watercoloring. Now I have done a little bit of it in advance because I wanted to make sure everything dried before we ran out of time on the video. So I have already done my wash of my background. So this is simply done on, I use thick basic white cardstock. I didn't use watercolor paper because I wanted like a pure white, and our watercolor paper is a little bit creamy. So this is just our thick basic white cardstock. And I use the thick so that it can handle the moisture from the watercolor a little bit better. Okay. So I have just done a quick wash with some Old Olive re-inker and water. That's all that is. Okay. And I left it to dry so that that is good to go. Next, I have some holly that I have stamped and heat embossed in gold, and then I've watercolored them. I've actually got an extra one here that I'm going to show you how I did that. So I'm just going to pull in my little palette here from my glass mat and add just a drop of re-inker. We don't need a lot, so I'm just adding a drop of Poppy Parade. Oh, that might be a drop and a half there. And then a drop of Old Olive. Now the Old Olive will stain. You can see that I've got some staining on my palette here. That's okay. It's meant to get used, right? I don't mind some staining. All right, so then I'm going to use some water, some aqua painters. We also carry water. We carry water painters now. They're slightly different from these. Same basic principle. It's a paintbrush that has a reservoir for water inside of it. So I'm going to start by just squeezing some water into both little portions on my palette here to get both of those nice and watery. And then I'm going to start with my leaves. So I have here another of the holly image that I have heat embossed in gold. Now the nice thing about embossing kind of keeps you in the lines. It kind of controls where the water goes when you're watercoloring. So you can be pretty quick with this and not worry about the water kind of bleeding outside the lines, because the embossing resists the water and kind of contains it, kind of corrals it. So I'm just taking and adding some Old Olive, watered down Old Olive, obviously, to the leaves here. I'm not being super careful. I'm not really worrying about getting really even color. I'm just getting this down. And I'm going to sort of ink up my brush using different parts of my little puddle of ink here. And that's just going to give me slightly different shades because I didn't mix this. I don't know if you noticed, but I didn't do a whole lot of mixing. So I kind of want variations in the intensity of color here. So it's just one way to do it without having to do a whole lot of shading and layering. So again, I'm just going to come in and add some color to each one of these little holly leaves. And it really is quite easy to do when you are doing it with the heat embossed image, because you don't have to worry. It's not going to bleed out of the lines. Okay, that's all there is to it. And I'm just going to give this a quick clean on a paper towel here. Actually, you know what? I'll just switch. I've got another water painter here. I'll just switch because I don't think that that's going to be quite clean enough. So now I'm going to bring in some Poppy Parade, and it's literally just touching a little bit of moisture to those berries. They're so it almost looks orange. It's quite watered down. Color, I can certainly add some more re-inker to my little palette here and get more intense color, but this will do just nicely. Okay, and that's all there is to it. Really, really quick and easy. You don't have to be super careful. And then you have to let this dry, right? So that's why I did 2 ahead of time, because this one is going to have to dry before I can use it on my project. So I'm going to set this aside, and we are going to finish putting this one together. So I have my 2 that are dry that I did ahead of time and my background. So the first thing I'm going to do is layer this. I should mention this is cut to 3 3/4 by 5. So it's a little bit smaller than most card fronts that I create. And then here I have a piece of textured gold foil specialty paper. This is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. And you can see I've cut my other elements from that panel so that I'm not wasting it. I know some of you will be thrilled that I've done that. So here we go. There's all my little bits. So I've cut my label and my extra little sprigs out of that panel because it's going to get covered up, which we're going to do right now. So I'm just going to take and add a little bit of seal to the back of my watercolor background here. I'm not going to put a whole lot in the middle. I will add more once I go to layer this on the card, because we do have a hole in the middle and I don't want to stick this to my grid paper. So we do that. No, and still I managed to. And then we're going to fold our card base. So I have a thick basic white card base that is 4 1/4 by 11, and we're going to score that, or sorry, it's scored at 5 1/2. This looks wider than 4 1/4. Oh, it is just a smidge. I'm going to give this a little trim because it's just a wee bit wide. So I'll just bring in my trimmer here. One of the things I love about our trimmer is that you can cut really little bits and still get a clean cut. I love that about this trimmer. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and fold our card base in half along our score line. Give that a good burnish with our bone folder. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some more adhesive to the back panel here. And we're going to adhere that to our card base. And let's make sure we do it right side up so that our card looks somewhat like our sample. So there we go. There's our background. Really easy. Now to create our label, I have both the gold label that we're going to use as our background, but then I've also done a white label to stamp on. So I'm going to give you a couple little tips for trimming this so that you can layer your images. Sorry, I was distracted by a comment. Okay, here we go. We are going to stamp Love and Joy in Poppy Parade ink. Okay, just like that. And then I'm going to come in with my snips, and I'm just going to use, these cut lines are already here, so I'm just going to kind of finish the cut line all the way across. So there's 1, 2, 3, and 4, just like that. Okay, and then that is going to get layered onto our gold label, and then we have a nice gold backdrop with our nice white stamped sentiment. So this is just going to sit right on here quite nicely, just like that. Okay, next we are going to add our holly. Now you could, what I think I did on here is I actually kind of fed my holly through the slit in the label, but I think I might have done it I don't know what I did. Anyway, I'm not going to do that again because I don't especially like seeing it there. Do you see that? So I'm actually going to tuck this in behind my label completely so that I don't see it kind of peeking out behind the white. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of seal to each one of my holly leaves here. So I'm going to have one kind of coming up like this and another one coming down like this. And then I've got some little extra gold sprigs here. So I'm going to add just a little bit of seal and add them sort of peeking out above the holly like that. Get rid of that little bit that did not pop out. And then this little guy is going to kind of come down here like that. That is going to get glued to our card front. Now you see I could have made my wash a little wider there, but that's okay. We are, though, going to add some ribbon first. I just need to grab my ribbon scissors because this particular ribbon does fray if you don't use proper scissors. So I'm going to cut this 3.5 inches. So let's guess about there. Does that look about right? Let's see if that's going to show. Yep, that works just fine. So this ribbon is an online exclusive. It's kind of one of those hidden gems that if you aren't looking for it, you may never see it on the website. But it's great ribbon. So I'm going to add a little bit of seal there to stick this down, just like that. And then this is going to get popped up on our card front. All right. Whoops. Let's not stick it to our finger, Lena. There we go. So we'll add a few dimensionals. I might need one more here because it looks like that's not going to stick terribly well. We'll get rid of our backings. And then we're going to pop this on. Centered over our ribbon. Just like that. You like that? And then our last touch is some of these gold, I can't remember what they're called. They're from the Season of Elegance suite. Somebody want to look it up and see what these are called? I can't remember. They're gold something. Gold foil something. Anyway, that's where you can get them. Season of Elegance. We'll add some of those and we're done. Okay, now I'll just show you on the inside of my sample. I stamped a sentiment from the Sentimental Wishes stamp set, and then that extra holly that we colored, I'm going to add it to the inside of my card once it is dry. Okay, so there you go. Really easy, quick way to use this fun bundle. So now let's move on to some fun folds. I got 2 fun folds for you today. Hope you're ready. Okay, here we go. So this one is just a really simple Z fold, but it's got this sort of little pop-out feature. I don't even know what you call this. It's probably got a special name. Oh, Arlene, yes, you found it in the online exclusives. That's where you will find it. It is still available. I checked this morning. All right, so to put together this cute little one, this one's all about that adorable reindeer DSP. Love, love, love. So we're starting with a 5.5 by 8.5 piece of thick basic white cardstock. It is scored at, well, I'll put it this way, 2 1/8 and 4 1/4. So it's basically just a regular card base with that extra score line in the middle of 1/2. Okay, so we're going to fold it in half just like we would a regular card base to start. And then this piece, this second score line, we're going to fold inward. So we're basically making a Z. I'm sure this is some kind of a Z fold. I don't know. Maybe you know what this fold is called? I have no idea. But there's our Z, right? Or Z if you're in the US. Okay, so then we are going to decorate this a little bit. So I have here just a piece of that fabulous tree pattern from the DSP pack. So this is cut 2 by 5 3/8, and it's going to fit on that front panel just nicely. Okay, so we're going to glue that one on. Pop it on here. Just like that. Okay, and then I have, let me show you what I have. I have some little squares, or so triangles, that were once 2-inch squares. So these once were, I've got 2 2-inch triangles here, and I had cut them on the diagonal. Let's see if we can figure out how these go together. Nope. Yep. So 1 and 2. Okay, so these were little 2 by 2 inch squares, and then I cut them on the diagonal. All right, and then what we're going to do is glue these inside the card. Except we have to do this the right way. Oh, you know what I did? I should have cut this one in the other orientation because my trees are going to be sideways. All right, we're going to cut another piece of that because our trees can't be sideways. We have to have upright trees. So let's see if we can find some more of that fun tree pattern paper. Look at that. I have a 2 inch wide strip all ready to go. So I'm going to set this aside for a moment and we're going to cut a 2 inch piece off this little strip. Okay, so is this 2 inches? Oh, it's a little smidge more. So let's give that a bit of a trim. There we go. Oh, that was not tidy. After singing the praises of our trimmer, I don't think I had that in there very straight. That was not a very good cut. There we go. All right. So we'll set this aside. No, we won't. We're going to cut this on the diagonal. So this one, if you recall, I cut here to here, right? And that was the problem. I need to do it the opposite direction. So I'm going to go here to here. So top left to bottom right. Now, when you are cutting on a diagonal, you do not want to just come from the corner and run your blade. You are going to mess up. You're going to smush your corner. Okay. So the best way to do that is to get it lined up, start in the middle, and then cut up and then down. Okay. Then you'll get nice, clean corners. All right. That's going to work a whole bunch better on our card. So let's add those. We'll get rid of these ones that are not the right orientation. And we will add the ones that are. There we go. So these are going to get glued on the inside of our card, just like that. Okay, so let's add them. Let's add just a smidge of glue. And we'll pop these inside. Now they're not going right up to the edge. They're in about 1/8 of an inch. So we have a nice little border. You could, if you wanted to have them go right to the edge, you certainly could. You may want to make your squares to start 1/4 of an inch bigger. Okay, that's just my hot tip for you. And then we'll do the other corners. That one's going to go right about there. And this guy goes in the other corner. There we go. Okay, so now we kind of have the base of our card done. Let's set that aside. And next I have this square of pretty Peacock cardstock. This is 2.5 inches square. And we need to fold this on the diagonal. So I'm just going to take, you could score this if you wanted to, but it's really not necessary. So I'm just going to match up the opposite corners, kind of hold them in place. And then what I do is I kind of come across and pinch it. And then I can run my bone folder and crisp it up. Okay, you can score it if you'd like, but again, not really necessary. Okay, so now we are going to adhere our, this is a, what size is this? 2 3/8 square. So this is actually cut. I'm not sure if you can see the stitch lines on there. This is cut using the stylish shape size, but we're only going to use half of this. So I'm going to glue this on, and then I'm just going to go ahead. Actually, you know what? Let's trim it ahead of time. Well, I'm indecisive today. We're going to do that same diagonal cut on this piece. So again, starting in the middle, get my scoring blade out of there, and cutting upwards and downwards, and then we get a nice clean corner. All right, so we're going to adhere one of our pieces to 1/2 of our folded square. Okay, so let's pop that on. Just like that. And we're going to have a nice narrow little border. There we go. Okay, now this eventually is going to get glued to the back side of our Z. Not just yet though. Well, actually maybe we will do that. Holy cow, am I ever indecisive today? Wow. All right, so I'm going to center this little diamond on my backing here. Okay, so you see how I've kind of got it centered? I have a pretty equal border of white all the way around. Then I'm just going to take and apply some glue to the side that doesn't have DSP on it. And I'm just going to fold this over like that. Okay, and that's going to give me my pop out piece. The rest is a piece of cake. So I have 2 more squares that I've cut from the adorable reindeer DSP. I've cut a diamond orientation. All right, and then these are 1.5-inch squares. So again, cut using the stylish shapes dies. Okay, and then these little pretty peacock squares are 1 5/8. So again, I'm going to glue my DSP onto my squares. So there's a 1. And there's a 2-ish. Make sure that's straight. Okay, and then these guys are going to get glued onto our card front. So we're only putting glue on the side that is going to overlap the trees here. Okay, so on the left side, both top and bottom. And I want to make sure the points of my little diamonds come right to the bottom of my card base. Okay, so the easiest way to do that is to flip your piece over so that you know exactly where you want your glue to go. And then flip it back around and just line up the points with the edge of the Z fold and the bottom with the bottom of the card base. Okay, we're going to do the same thing up top. So again, I'm going to flip my piece over so I know where to put my glue. Flip it back, and then I'm going to have to move this a little closer to me because I can't see that far. And we'll get that lined up. Okay, so you can see how our card is taking shape. The last step is to add our sentiment. So I have one of the Christmas labels die cuts, and we are going to stamp, oh, I got the wrong one, wishing you joy and happiness in Pretty Peacock ink. So we are going to ink this up. And I always like to do a test because this particular, cutting on this particular, see, it's not straight. Even though the sticker looks straight, I always have to just kind of compensate a little bit to make sure that it actually stamps straight. So this is always a bit of an adventure when I stamp this one. Oh, it's not bad. I didn't quite get it centered. I may have to redo that after. Okay, so that is our label. And then we are going to take some of our pretty green ribbon and cut, again, I don't know, about a 3.5-inch piece. I am going to cut this the opposite angle though. So let's try, well, you know what we'll do. We'll look at this and figure it out. So this, the cool thing about these Christmas labels tags is that you can feed your ribbon through and use it as a ribbon slide, which is what I did on this one. I just realized I really did butcher this tag or label. We are going to need to stamp that again later, but that's okay. So I'm going to, again, cut the same angle here. And then I'm just going to slide this out, apply a little bit of seal to the back so that once I slide my ribbon through, I can secure it in place. So we'll get that slid through. And then we're just going to line this up so it's kind of equal on both sides and centered. Right about there is good. Yes, definitely going to have to redo this label. And then that is going to get adhered. Now, again, I'm going to adhere it only to the left side of my card front here, and I'm going to use a couple of dimensionals. So we'll just grab a couple of these guys. And the dimensionals will also secure the ribbon a little bit better than that little bit of seal that we used. So we'll pop this on right between our cute little reindeer here. And then I'm going to add some of our fun druzy embellishments. So I had this one little lonesome guy all on his own, so I had to get rid of that one. That one was bugging me. It was kicking around on my desk and it needed to be used. So here we go. And there we go. There are our bling. There is our bling. And then on the inside, we are going to stamp "Have a Very Merry Christmas," also in Pretty Peacock. Hi, Jill. Welcome. Thanks, Twyla. I'm glad you like this. Thanks, Colleen. Glad you like this one. All right. So let's ink this up again. And once again, we'll do a bit of a test. Yep, we have to compensate ever so slightly. Not bad. Okay, and the cool thing is when you close this, you hide your sentiment. When you open it, it pops out like that. Okay, so a quick and easy fun fold, not too finicky for number 2. So let me get these out of the way, and I'll bring in number 3. Number 3 is my fave. I like this one. Okay, so number 3 is this one. So it starts out folded flat like this. Okay, it pops out like this to stand up, but then it also has a flap that opens so you can write your greeting. Isn't that a cool fold? I just think that is so slick. So I'm going to show you how to make it. It's actually much easier than it looks. Now I am going to show you a tip, something that I do whenever I try a new fun fold. I always start out by making just a plain one, like in white or whatever I have on my desk. So this I happen to have some very vanilla kicking around. So I used it to make a sort of prototype. And then once I've done that, I actually write all of my measurements for my pieces on my prototype, so that, and I keep these in a drawer in my desk so that if I'm looking for an idea for a fun fold, I can just pull it out and all the measurements are right there. I don't have to go searching for them. Okay, so that is one little tip that I like to use when I am trying new fun folds. All right, so let's start with our card base. So again, this is just a basic 5.5 by 8.5 piece of basic beige cardstock. And we've done a bunch of scoring here. So I have to look at my cheat sheet, AKA my prototype, to make sure I give you the right dimensions. So again, 5.5 by 8.5, and then with the 8.5 alongside at the top, I've scored at 1/2 inch, 1 3/4, 3, and 4 1/4. Okay, all of these measurements are in the video description. So down there, okay, you will find them, and they will live there forever. So if you are wanting to try and make this one, the measurements are there. Okay, so we are basically going to form a box with all these score lines. So I'm going to start actually folding that middle score line, the one just like it would be a regular card base. So I'm just going to fold that in half. Okay, then I'm going to go to the next score line, fold that one inwards. And as I'm doing so, I'm just making sure that my edges line up so that I'm going to have a nice square box. And then next score line. And then finally my little 1/2 inch one. Okay, and you can see how once we get this all assembled, that's going to form our little pillar or box. Okay, all right. Okay, Charlie, thanks for joining me. Have a good evening. All right, so we are going to assemble this. To do so, we're just going to put a little bit of glue along this 1/2 inch tab, and then we're going to fold 2 segments of our box over and stick it down like this, because when we close our card, we see 2 segments. Do you see that? So we're going to add just a little bit of liquid glue. You could use tape, you could use seal, whatever you got. You want something that's going to be strong, right? This is going to get a fair bit of wear and tear. So again, I'm closing 2 panels, and I'm just going to stick this down and burnish it well. Okay, and we're going to just give that a sec. The liquid glue sets up fairly quickly, but we don't want to put too much stress on it. So while we're doing that, we're going to do a little bit of stamping. So the sides of our box here to decorate, there are 1 inch wide strips. Okay, and what I did, I'm not sure if it shows on the camera, but I did stamp with that holly image on each one of those panels. To make it easier, we're actually going to start with a 3 inch wide strip, do our stamping, and then cut. Okay, so these are 3 by 5 1/4, or this is 3 by 5 1/4. I have my holly image here, and I'm doing tone-on-tone stamping with shaded spruce ink on shaded spruce cardstock. Okay, now in my measurements, I do say 3 1 by 5 1/4 inch pieces, but this is my little hint or tip for doing this really quickly. So I'm stamping my holly image a bunch of times. Whoops, that one didn't come out very well. That's what happens when I rush. Okay, just all over that piece. And then I'm going to grab my trimmer, and we're going to cut this piece into 3 1 inch wide strips. And when I'm doing this, I like to use the right hand ruler that's sort of on the right of my cutting track. I just find it easier because I'm right-handed. I find it easier to hold my paper with my left hand and see my measurement with my on the right. So there's one, and we'll do another one. Also at 1 inch. Make sure that's straight. There we go. There are our pieces. Now, of course, the one that was actually, it's not going to matter. It's going to get covered. So my little oopsie there where I got an incomplete image isn't going to matter because it's going to get covered with our label. Don't you love it when things work out like that? Okay. So this went like this. So we are going to adhere our panel. So the first one is going to go on this inside panel. So we're going to go ahead and glue that guy on. So we'll pop that on there. Okay, next is our little oopsie one that's going to go right on top on the front, but it's going to get covered, so not to worry. Now, again, if you are someone who likes narrow borders, like I do, you could make these panels a little wider, right? You could make them 1 1/8 by 5 3/8, and you would have a narrower border, I should say. And then finally, our last one is going to go on the outside panel. Just like that. Okay, so that is our box done. Next, to create our panel that flips up, okay, with our secret spot to write, we are going to take a 10.5 by 2 3/4 inch piece of shaded spruce cardstock. And this is scored at 5 1/4. All right, so we're going to fold that in half along our score line. And I did do some stamping on the edges of this because you're going to see a little bit of the edges, and I kind of wanted it to look the same as my panels on the front. So I'm just going to quickly kind of come around the edges of this panel just to get a little bit of that holly texture, because we're going to see a little bit of it when we layer our DSP on there. Okay. Next, we're going to add our DSP. So I used a piece of that ribbon pattern. This is 2.5 by 5 1/4, and that, excuse me, is going to get it onto the front of that panel. And you can see where you see a little bit of that holly text. You probably won't see it on the camera. Take my word for it. It's there. Okay, so we're going to add a little glue here and pop this on just like that. And then this is going to get adhered onto our card front. So I'm going to pay attention to my top and bottom, make sure they all line up so I have nice even borders all the way across. So we're going to go ahead and add some glue, and we'll pop this on. So we have a nice even border all the way across. Okay. All right. Now, oh, we almost forgot to glue our inside piece on. So on the inside, we're using a piece the same size as we did for the DSP. So 2 1/4 by 5. 2 1/4, no, 2.5 by 5. This is 2.5 by 5 as well. I'm not sure if I said the right measurement on that one. Again, measurements are in the video description. So on this one, we are going to stamp. Again, actually, let's do it in Poppy Parade just for fun. We're going to stamp Let's Celebrate the Season. Just like this. And for the heck of it, we're going to add a holly image as well, because we can. Yes, Judy, it has saved me. Making these templates really, really saves me. The number of times I have, remembered a fun fold that I tried once that I really, really liked, and then try to remember what I did. My memory is just not that good. So this has saved me hours of going through my old live videos and blog posts and, all of that to try to find the measurements for things that I did and that I wanted to do again. So this has been a really great way to have a quick, easy reference. And it's also helpful for when I do my lives and I have to remember all of my measurements. All right, so there we go. We've got our card base basically done. Now we're going to work on our focal image. So I have done a whole lot of work ahead of time. I've already stamped my holly. I stamped it in Memento black ink and colored using Stampin' blends. I used the light shaded spruce for the leaves and dark Poppy Parade for the berries. Okay, and then I have a piece, the largest circle from the Stylish Shapes dies cut from Basic Beige cardstock that I've embossed using this Distress Tile embossing folder. I just feel like it works so well with this suite. And then I have 2 more labels that I've cut using the Christmas labels die. So one in gold and a white one. So we're going to stamp on the white. And this is my favorite label because I love the way the stamps just fit so perfectly in the sections on this label. So I'm stamping in Poppy Parade, and I'm just going to line up my sentiment here on my label. And isn't it cute the way they just kind of nestle in there? I love, love, love this. All right, Colleen, good. I'm glad you're going to try it. It's a cool fold, eh? All right, so now I wanted, again, to be able to layer the white onto the gold. So I'm going to show you how to do that. It does take a little bit fancier cutting than the last one. So we're going to start with these little bits at the bottom. So I'm just going to kind of trim this off, just a rough cut to start. And then I'm really just following the cut lines that are already there to extend them. Okay, so there's 1 and 2. Okay, so that one's going to go on the bottom. And then I'm going to do the top one. Same thing, I'm going to do a rough cut to start. And then clean it up, following those cut lines. So there's a 1 and a 2. Okay, so those 2 are going to go in the top and the bottom. Now this one is a little trickier. So again, I'm going to, get rid of some of the excess that I don't need. So all of this that kind of gets in my way, I'm just going to make a nice clean cut across there, get rid of that. And then I'm going to, again, trim this off, get rid of this, because I want to be able to maneuver my scissors. So I'm going to kind of follow this cut line, bring that around. And then here, I'm just going to kind of follow this down. My goal is this cut line here. So I'm just going to kind of bring this around and meet that cut line. Okay. This I'm going to clean up a little bit because it's not super tidy. There we go. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side, but I'm going to start from the bottom and come up and around this way. Okay. So there is my label. This is just not quite as tidy as I would like it. So I'm going to clean that up just a bit. And I'm going to clean this end up just a bit. There we go. Okay. And then that is going to fit on my gold label just like that. Do you like that? All right. So let's add a little glue and get this put together. So we'll start with this one. And that's just going to nestle right in there just nicely. And then we'll put our 2U down in the bottom. And our Mary up in the top. There we go. So this is just a way to get a little more mileage from your Christmas labels dies. If you have these dies in your stash, let me know. These were ones I actually was hesitant to buy at first because I thought they were really limited, and oh my goodness, how wrong was I? All right, so now we're going to add our holly and sprigs to the back of our label here. So just adding some seal. We're going to have our holly coming up on the top and down from the bottom, kind of like that. And then we're going to add our little sprigs, again, top and bottom. So I'll get rid of all my little negative bits. And I'll pop that guy up there. And this guy down here. And again, we need to get rid of a little bit there. Yeah. Poke out. There we go. Okay, so there is our sentiment. Now we're going to add a little bit more of that fun red and gold ribbon. And this is a little trick. Again, Y-waist ribbon, running it all the way across, right? It looks like it is, but it isn't actually. So I'm going to cut several just little like kind of 1-inch long pieces on a diagonal. I'm cutting 4. So this is a great way to use up little bitty scraps of ribbon. And I'm going to put some seal on this one corner here. And I'm going to have my little ribbon bits peeking out just like that. Okay, then we're going to do the same thing in the opposite corner. So we'll go a 1 and I need to cut these at the opposite angle. I don't like this. Do it this way. Oh, that's a really little bit. I don't know. I might need to cut another piece. I cut it at the wrong angle. So this one needs to go the opposite way. So let's cut it this way. There we go. That's better. So we'll add this guy onto here. And there we go. It looks, whoops, that did not stay. A little more glue is required. So it looks like, why is that? Oh, because I'm putting it on the wrong side. That's why. Why is this not sticking? Well, Lena, you're not putting the glue in the right spots. There we go. Okay, so it looks like continuous pieces of ribbon, but that's just a little bitty scrap, right? Great way to get more mileage out of your ribbon. All right, so now we're going to add some dimensionals to the back of this little arrangement. It's a good thing nobody sees the back side. It's always a hot mess. It's the front that matters, right? We can hide all kinds of messes on the back. So we'll get rid of our backings, and we're going to pop this onto our circle. Okay, now when we go to glue this on, we have to be mindful of the fact that this has to fit in an envelope, right? So we can't put it over too far or it's going to not fit into our envelope. The other thing that we want to be mindful of is that when we flip open our flap here, we need to be able to get it past the circle, right? So I was just safe. Okay, if I had gone like a millimeter farther over, I would have had trouble. So I want to keep in mind that when I go to open my card, it's going to flip this way and that flap needs to be able to come up. Okay, so right about where I've got it is just about where I need it. So I'm going to put some seal on my card front here. I'm just going to think about, okay, so that's good there. Where do I need it here? Let's just pay attention to how that flap's going to open. We're going to move over just a smidge and then stick it down. Okay, I'm still going to catch my ribbon, but that's okay. And that way it works both ways. Okay, our last touch is some more of our little druzy embellishments. So we'll add a couple more of these guys. These remind me of like a Christmas brooch. Does anybody have, like, did anybody used to have those vintage Christmas brooches? My mom had some. It was like a Christmas tree and a wreath that she used to wear with her scarves. That's what these remind me of, these little druzy embellishments. All right, there we go. There's our finished fun fold. Flips open like this and then flips back to fit in the envelope. All right, yes, Leanna, give it a shot. I bet they love it. Okay, here we go. Here are all of our projects from today. Now I'm going to show you some more because you know me, I can't stop at 3. So we have some more ideas. So remember how I mentioned people were asking me what to do with that 12 by 12 piece that has the holly and the candy cane border. So cutting tags is one way to use that sheet. So I've just slapped a tag onto a card front and added a stocking and a sentiment and called it a day. Here is another idea. So you can cut your card fronts and create your card fronts, get 6 card fronts out of your 12 by 12 piece, and each one will be a little bit different depending on which portion of the DSP it's from. And again, I find the stockings work so nicely because we've got the little candy canes in there as well. Here's another one, more of that adorable little reindeer DSP. So cute. And then this one, again, I did this to look like a gift, right? So gift wrapping, there's our ribbon and our tag. This one I wanted to look super vintage, so I actually stamped on crumb cake cardstock and then colored with my watercolor pencils. I really like it. And then here's one that's all about the DSP. I just took some of that Christmas tree DSP, cut it into 3 segments, and layered on Poppy Parade, and away you go. Okay, so there you go. Lots of ideas with the fantastic Sentimental Christmas Suite. So I've got to move all my stuff out of the way to get on my computer. It's a little bit of a disaster over here. All right. So what do you think of those? Do you like those? All right. Oh, Diane's going to try it. Okay, Judy's going to try the second one. All right. When you try them, please share. I want to know what they look like. You can comment on this video with your photo, or if you don't want to share with everyone, I would love to receive it. So send me a message and let me see what you've created. I love seeing what people make. Okay. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining me this week. I hope you have a fantastic week, and I will see you next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.